80 days late, talking about the state budget and what's being done at the state capitol today. Not much, and why some are now saying the delay is on purpose. Some of you are going to need an umbrella tomorrow. KCRA 3 Weather Plus meteorologist Dirk Verdorn's going to tell us who will get the rain and when. And the oil well that caused the worst oil spill in American history is on the verge of permanently being sealed. But the disaster is far from over in the Gulf Coast. So what's next? Good evening, I'm Chris Riva. KCRA 3 reports at 5 o'clock in high definition starts now.
This is KCRA 3 reports at 5 in high definition, where the news comes first.
Politics on this Saturday. No meetings at the state capitol this weekend, even though California's budget is now a record 80 days late. And now some critics are actually suggesting the delay is deliberate. Well, it's part of the political gamesmanship tied to the November ballot, possibly. KCRA 3 political reporter Kevin Riggs joins us now to explain. Kevin.
Yeah, Chris, deliberate political foot-dragging. That accusation aimed at Capitol Democrats is the latest drama as California's cash crisis worsens, and it all has to do with Proposition 25 on the November ballot. Taxes.
The tax argument is, for the files of, I saw Elvis Presley in Carmichael last week. I'm sorry, it's just absurd.
Now, an appeals court and the nonpartisan legislative analysts both say that Prop 25 would not affect the two-thirds requirement for raising taxes, this despite complaints from the Jarvis Taxpayers Group. So, Chris, the budget talks resume at the Capitol on Monday.
All right, Kevin Riggs, we appreciate it tonight. So we turn to KCRA 3 Weather Plus now. Rain is coming into our forecast. Here's a live look tonight at Lake Tahoe from our Sky Camera 3 network. Beautiful blue sky, but perhaps that's going to change not only in the high country, but here in the valley as well. KCRA 3 Weather Plus meteorologist Dirk Verdorn joining us now. A little rain in the forecast.
Yeah, a little rain, and it's actually going to be probably a better chance for some rain here in the valley than perhaps at Lake Tahoe. It's kind of interesting. We'll take a look at exactly where we're going to be seeing some of that rain. Currently, it doesn't look like rain right now. We have fairly clear skies over Sacramento. Current temperatures are ranging nicely in the upper 70s. Just a brief downpour. It's going to be coming through by tomorrow. That's the timing of it, but just how much rain can we expect from that weather system? We'll take a look at that as well as your temperatures coming up in the forecast, Chris.
Dirk, thanks. Convicted killer Lauren Herzog is free today. Herzog's supposed to get out yesterday, but it officially happened this morning. And he's going to live in a trailer just outside of the High Desert State Prison in Susanville. That's in Lassen County. And he's going to be monitored closely with a GPS device. He served 11 years of a 78-year sentence for killing 3 people. The sentence was reduced when an appeals court ruled that Herzog's statements were illegally coerced. More than 5,000 people in Lassen County have signed a petition protesting his release. A grass fire to tell you about in Sacramento today. Firefighters say it could have been much worse. It's dry out there. Happened at 50th and Broadway. A second alarm added to the fire because of a combination of today's strong winds and homes in the nearby vicinity. A backyard of one of the homes in a parking port actually caught fire, but the damage was minimal. No one was injured in this. Fire crews are still investigating what started it. A 2-alarm fire to tell you about in an apartment building on K Street in Sacramento. Happened in Midtown Manor. That's at 1725 K Street. Now we're told it was a mattress fire. Fire crews were able to put that out quickly. 3 people are in critical condition tonight after a rollover accident in Sacramento. Happened at X Street near Alhambra. All of the victims in their late teens to early 20s. One of the victims was found with a gunshot wound to his arm, and a gun was found on the street. Police say some of the victims are documented gang members.
When we arrived, we found 6 occupants outside the vehicle. It was a white GMC that had rolled over. It appears to be a single vehicle.
Other people involved in the accident not seriously hurt. No word on where the victim was shot. CHP is searching for a minivan involved in a hit and run early this morning. Happened on Highway 99 just after 6 o'clock. The CHP responded to a rollover accident involving a vehicle. So witnesses say that the man was hit by the minivan when he tried crawling out of his car. Now, a case of beer was found in the victim's car. The victim was taken to the hospital with major injuries. At one point, the entire highway was shut down. Well, today, racing will resume for the first time since August at a track in Marysville. It was when a man was killed. Merle Shepard died on August 15th at an accident involving a race at the track. The Marysville Raceway Park says that it's turning the lights back on to honor Shepard. Originally, the track said it would close down permanently because of his death. Now, it's likely the first of many. A resident affected by the deadly gas line explosion in San Bruno is now suing PG&E. The lawsuit was filed in San Mateo County Superior Court. The suit says the company should turn over $100 million recovery fund for blast victims to a third party. and pay other monetary damages. They're claiming PG&E could withhold funding or not follow through on its promise if the money is not in place by a court-supervised escrow account. Now, PG&E did not comment on the suit. The blast on September 9th destroyed nearly 40 homes and claimed at least 4 lives. 6 people dead, more critically injured in an accident involving a church van on a New York interstate highway. State police say a tractor-trailer collided with a church van carrying 17 people on Woodbury. It's about 50 miles northwest of Manhattan. Now, police say at least 2 people are in critical condition, and they're still piecing together the evidence on how this accident was actually caused. BP engineers say that they are in the final hours now of testing, and overnight they could declare the Deepwater Horizon well officially dead. Now, the good news is along the Gulf Coast, but there's no way to end the problems there because oil is still in the water. Jay Gray has the details now from Louisiana.
152 days in, and BP engineers say it's still going to take a few more back. Many say they've already seen a significant drop in the number of cleanup and recovery crews here, but officials insist they have enough manpower to continue work as long as necessary. Jay Gray, NBC News, Venice, Louisiana.
Pope Benedict hearing both support and protest in London today. The Pope once again apologizing to those who have been sexually abused by Catholic priests. We'll chronicle his comments. And in Bermuda, bracing for Hurricane Igor. Why it could be one of the most devastating storms ever to hit the island. Covering the world tonight, Pope Benedict apologized today to those who have been sexually abused by Catholic priests. The pontiff speaking to nearly 2,000 people during Mass at London's Westminster Cathedral. Pope Benedict saying priests who abused children brought, quote, shame and humiliation to the Catholic Church, end quote. This is the pontiff's latest attempt to cope with the scandal that has certainly rocked the Catholic Church.
I express my deep sorrow to the innocent victims of these unspeakable crimes, along with my hope that the power of Christ's grace, his sacrifice of reconciliation, will bring deep healing and peace to their lives.
Nearly 10,000 people protested Pope Benedict's visit today, the largest protest of Benedict's 5-year papacy. So many of the marchers waved gay pride flags while others protested the Vatican's handling of sex abuse by priests. An American hiker released from Iran after more than a year in custody is now on her way home. Sarah Shroud made brief comments today at an airport in Oman before flying back to the United States. UC Berkeley grad thanked Oman for helping secure her release from Iran and for hosting her after their release.
I thank the good, hospitable people of Oman for your support and ask you to please extend your prayers to my fiancé Shane and my friend Josh. Inshallah, they will soon be free.
Iran detained Short, her fiancé Shane Bauer, and their friend Josh Fatah last July on charges of spying. Iranian officials released Short because she said to be in ill health. There are no plans at this point, though, for Iran to release the other 2. So people are snapping up emergency supplies in Bermuda as tourists are getting off the island as Hurricane Igor is bearing down. Igor's top wind sustaining 110 miles an hour at this point, still a Category 3 storm. Its track could take over Bermuda late tomorrow or early Monday. Could be one of the most powerful and devastating storms to hit that island, primarily because of the length of time that will be there. About 40 hours that thing will hover over Bermuda. We're not expecting tropical depressions of anything, but a few raindrops in our forecast. KCRA 3 Weather Plus meteorologist Dirk Verdorn joining us now.
Yeah, those changes are coming in tomorrow. You couldn't believe that there's a storm out there with the blue skies you see behind me. It looks gorgeous.
Kevin Riggs, KCRA 3 reports.
Weather is certainly a factor for firefighters battling 2 small wildfires in El Dorado National Forest. One fire near Forest Hill, it's getting help from the cool, rainy weather. Larger of the 2, it's burning in Ralston Ridge there. The fire has grown to 90 acres, but this afternoon crews reported it's 80% contained at this point. Rough terrain. Second fire is burning just southwest of Hellhole Reservoir. It burned just a couple of acres and is now completely contained. Those fires put a lot of smoke into the valley, and you can take a look at the picture sent in by KCRA 3 insider Drewski. You could also see firefighter helicopter above on Ralston Ridge. It's all on our website. Those are obviously our traffic cam. You can get to traffic updates as well on our website at KCRA.com. But you too could become an insider. KCRA.com/ulocal. To 2 teenagers now charged with arson and connection of a grass fire set in an Antelope neighborhood this morning. KCRA 3's May Fasai has the story.
This greenbelt was set on fire just steps away from homes.
As my wife came down and says, "I smell smoke."
It is the second fire reported near Singing Tree Lane in Antelope in the past couple days. Witnesses told arson investigators they saw 2 teenagers running from the scene.
And I would say, you know, that would you like to have your property burned and whatever, or your iPods, your cell phones, or whatnot? It's the same principle.
A 14 and 15-year-old were charged with a misdemeanor for setting fire to a wildland area.
This will go into the court system. It's kind of out of our hands now.
In the past, firefighters would have had a hand in helping these teens.
These youngsters were perfect for the juvenile fire setter program. It got the juveniles and their parents together in the same room, and they were basically taught about the destructive nature of fire, what fire can do not only to the environment, but to your neighborhood, but to yourself physically.
But budget cuts ended the program 2 years ago. In the past week, there have been several fires set in Antelope and a string of fires set in Sacramento. Firefighters say there does not appear to be a connection to the teens.
So our big fear is anything that can involve homes. You know, the weather here is very cooperative today. But had this been, a high temperature day, low humidity, a little bit of wind, most of the weeds and stuff are mowed down here. But it definitely is cause for concern.
There's older people in the neighborhood and this and that. They cannot get out fast on a fire. And then even at that time in the morning, kids sleeping or even babies or anything else like that, it could be disastrous.
In Sacramento, May Fasai, KCRA 3 reports.
So fire officials say those teens arrested in connection with this morning's Antelope fire could face jail time, juvie hall, or be fined. To a 2-alarm fire now early this morning sent residents of a Sacramento apartment building running for their lives. And now firefighters are reminding landlords and residents to make sure you have working smoke detectors inside your home. There was only one working smoke detector in this 4-unit apartment building. The fire reported in the 1500 block of 27th Street. It was just before 2 a.m. That's when firefighters arrived. They saw heavy black smoke and flames just pouring out of the upstairs apartment. The fire was ignited and trees as well, threatening an apartment building even next door. The 8 occupants were able to get out. One of them told us what it was like.
And I heard a big boom in the back, and it was
In wake of a deadly crash, it looked like that this small-town racetrack was done for good. But what happened to change organizers' minds and why they're dropping the checkered flag in Marysville once again? Rain's on the way, but will it come soon enough to put out the risk of wildfire? And meet the new home team, the Sacramento Mountain Lions, taking the field for their first game. We'll tell you how they did today. Good evening. I'm Chris Riva. KCRA 3 reports at 6 o'clock in high definition starts now.
This is KCRA 3 reports at 6 in high definition, where the news comes first.
Once again, fans are in the stands in Marysville. A live look right now at the racetrack as the racing is getting underway on this Saturday night. It's the first race on the track since the deadly accident, which was last month. So, in wake of that crash, we heard that organizers were going to close that track for good. Why the change of mind? KCRA 3's Tom Duhane is live at the track with the details on that story. Tom?
Yeah, the racing resumes here tonight at 6:30 with the blessing of the community and the blessing of a racing widow. Take a look behind me. This is a small quarter-acre dirt track that promotes. She says she's glad the racing is resuming. She said it's simply too painful for her to come back. It's too soon after her husband's death. Reporting live in Marysville, Tom Duhane, KCRA 3 reports.
Tom, thank you. So fire crews are now working 2 different fires in the El Dorado National Forest. The larger of the 2 is burning in the heavy timber area around Ralston Ridge. Latest update coming from CAL FIRE says it's about 25 acres, but that fire is certainly growing at this point. We're now hearing that heavy smoke can be seen all through parts of Placer County and the Forest Hill area of that fire. So we're told that the air tankers already are fighting that fire and ground crews are on the way. Police are investigating a Sacramento stabbing. It started as some sort of fight on 12th and C Streets. One person taken to the hospital, not seriously injured. Another man has been detained but not arrested. Officers not sure why the fight started. The Placer County Sheriff's Department is now refusing to say why deputies shot and killed a man late Thursday night. 46-year-old Gregory DeFord pronounced dead late Thursday night at the scene. Deputies say he crashed his car near Colfax while being chased. He was wanted in connection with 2 bank robberies in Auburn. The deputies say that they had flattened all 4 tires of his car, but he was still trying to head east on I-80 when he crashed. They say he did something after the accident that prompted deputies to open fire, but so far they're not giving any details about what that something was. To Commitment 2010 now, California's budget crisis is being exploited by labor groups and Capitol Democrats in order to pass the budget reform on the November ballot. That's a question for many tonight. The accusation today coming from opponents of Proposition 25. California's budget is now a record 80 days late. And with leaders and governors skipping budget talks this weekend, an anti-tax group is now leveling accusations of deliberate delay. It's engineered by Democrats, they say, to help pass Proposition 25. The measure would reduce the voting requirement for a budget from 2/3 to a simple majority.
But I do think there is a strategy that calls for delaying the budget until as much as possible to make an issue of the budget delay.
Nothing could be farther from my thoughts. I feel a responsibility, have felt a responsibility to get this done.
Now, Steinberg says that Prop 25 affects only passage of the budget, but it would also strip lawmakers of their pay for budget delays. Opponents argue that it opens the door, however, for raising taxes. So new studies out saying that voters are now richer, whiter, and older than the state as a whole. The Public Policy Institute of California has authored this report. The researchers report among the likely voters say the largest group, 41%, make up more than $80,000 a year. That's their average income. The average out of California pulls down about $60,000. They're also older than its state at large, with being over the age of 50. So the average age in California's resident, though, is 35. And while the state is about 60% white, they make up 66% of the likely voters this year. 3 people in critical condition after a rollover accident in Sacramento. It happened at X Street near Alhambra. All of the victims in their late teens, early 20s. One of the victims was found with a gunshot wound to his arm, and a gun was found on the street. Now, police say some of the victims are documented gang members. Meanwhile, the CHP is searching for a minivan involved in a hit and run early this morning. So it happened on Highway 99 just after 6 a.m. The CHP responded to a rollover accident involving a vehicle. Now, witnesses say a man was hit by a minivan when he tried crawling out of his car. Now, a case of beer was found in the victim's vehicle. The victim was taken to the hospital with some serious injuries. At one point, the entire highway was shut down. Turning to our Weather Plus coverage tonight, well, you can feel fall in the air this evening. Here's a look at our Sky Camera 3 network across the region here in Northern California. Let's take a look from Fairfield all the way to Raleigh Field in West Sacramento. As you can see, beautiful blue skies tonight. From left, we head down to Stockton, Weber Point, as well as Lake Tahoe up in the high country. But the conditions are going to change. We've seen a nice breeze across the region, keeping things cool. But now we may see some rain, particularly here in the valley, not necessarily in the high country.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing actually probably a better chance in some spots here in the valley than they're going to be seeing up around Lake Tahoe as we head on into tomorrow.
Away any dry brush around your home. Firefighters say you also want to make sure that you clear off any dry leaves that fall on your rooftop, because that could also pose a fire hazard. In Sacramento, May Fasai, KCRA 3 reports.
That's a good reminder. The 1991 Oakland Hills firestorm that killed 25 people and burned more than 3,000 homes happened in October.
So and right now we have a fire going on in Forest Hill.
There is a fire going on right now. So and temperatures are going to be cooling down. We'll take a closer look, of course, at those temperatures coming up a little bit later on. But yeah, you got to be careful.
All right, Dirk, thank you. Well, scientists from around the world hope you're going to spend part of your Saturday night looking up. Tonight, the International Observe the Moon Night, believe it or not, and nearly 400 events worldwide are set up to give you a chance to view the moon through some heavy-duty telescopes. Are you heading to one? In our region, the 2 events are one in Chico at the Kiwanis Hall. The second is in Placerville at the Cameron Park Rotary Hall. That's on Campus Drive. The biggest event, though, in Northern California is in the Bay Area. It's at Moffett Field. Tons of drugs off the street next year at 6. People volunteering to turn in old prescriptions before they can become deadly street drugs. Coming up after the break, we'll tell you what got turned in that surprised the officials running things today. But you know what? Not everyone's giving up on getting high, and how one California businessman is now using that to turn in pretty sweet profit. We'll have these stories and more coming up next at 6. So there's a new study out that says that 400% increase in the number of people actually being treated for abusing prescription drugs. As KCRA 3's Leticia Ordaz reports, today the city of Woodland did something that no city has ever done before.
It's a first for Yolo County. An officer kept a close watch while volunteers reports.
So they're giving them away or back in Woodland. One Central Coast business is offering a fresh take on the basic banana split. He's selling marijuana-infused ice cream for medical reasons only, of course. The shop owner says the customers have high hopes for his product.
Everybody who's tried it has told us that they absolutely loved it, and we've had a lot of people that have come back for seconds and thirds and fourths. Too bad we don't have smell-o-vision, because you guys at home would love this.
So here are the flavors: Banana Bis Foster, Strawberry Cheesecake, and Triple Chocolate Brownie. Finishing off a pint of this stuff is equal to smoking 8 joints, says the owner. Now, you'll set you back $15 a pint. Only card-carrying marijuana patients can actually buy it. With that said, KCRA 3 Weather Plus meteorologist Dirk Verdorn joined us now with a look at our forecasts. High hopes for the forecast as well, Dirk.
Yeah, I'm sure we're looking forward to maybe a little bit of rain.
Yes,
that is going to be coming through. Not a lot, but it's going to feel much more fall-like as we make our way through your Sunday. As we head through Monday, partly cloudy skies, temperatures back into the 80s, and we'll be in the upper 70s to lower 80s as we head through midweek. And then we start warming up again as we make our way into the mid to lower 80s by next weekend.
All righty, sir, we appreciate it. Jay, I want to remind you, though, if you're going to clear out your garage or your spare room this weekend, we have some old electronics you need. KCRA 3 is here to help you out. Next week, KCRA 3 and SEER teaming up for an e-waste drive. On Friday, September 24th, we'll be out at Cal Expo from 4:30 in the morning. That's when Dell's going to start collecting this stuff.
Right, baby.
7 at night, anyone can drop off their e-waste. You can just drive up. We'll load it from your car into the bins, and you can get all the details you need on our As Seen On section on our website at kcra.com.
You said 4:30?
Yeah, that's when you're going to be out there. I'll be out there later. Important note, if it's the only television you're watching us on right now, don't recycle that one.
Don't recycle that
What's
one.
up in sports, Frank?
Hey, coming up in sports, moments ago, the San Francisco Giants lost their lead in the National League West Division, and they didn't even play. I'll explain that deal when we come back. Plus, the Sacramento Mountain Lions open their season this afternoon on the road at the Hartford Colonials.
Colonial territory, brought down at the down and long.